Great. Welcome, everybody. Find yourself a really comfortable seat. We'll do a little bit of mindful movement. We'll do some breathing and we'll do some meditation today. So we're going to start with the hands today. So first, if they're a little bit chilly, you might want to just generate a bit of heat. You can blow on them. You can use friction, rub them back and forth. You can stick them under your armpits. That's a really warm place, just so that they are feeling a little bit more limber and perhaps a little bit less stiff if they are a little bit cold. And then we'll do a bit of finger stretching. So choose a hand to say stop and gently pull the fingers back towards the body, feeling that stretch. Possibly on the bottom of the wrist as well as in the fingers. Depends on how you do. If you want to make this stretch more intense, you can extend the arm out and feel the stretch all the way down the lower part of the arm. And if you want to make it a little less intense, you can bend the elbow. So you decide what works well for you today. And then we'll flip the hand over so the fingertips are pointing down. And then gently bring the hand back towards the lower arm and feel the stretch in the top of the wrist. And be really gentle here. You don't need to have the deepest, best, most intense stretch. Just a little bit. We're just, warming up the body. And again, you can make this more intense by having a really active arm straight out. And you can make it less intense by bending the elbow. And then we'll just shake it out on the right side, and maybe you practice a bit of dexterity, seeing if you can touch the thumb to each finger. Sometimes it helps to look. And if you want to challenge yourself, you can close your eyes and see how that works. And again, we'll do the same thing on the other side. So stop, gently pulling the fingertips back towards the body. You can extend the arm for a more intense stretch. Or you can bend the elbow for a more relaxed stretch. See what feels good to you, and it might be very different on this side than the other side. That's fine. We're not as symmetric as we sometimes like to think we are. And then we'll switch directions to get the stretch on the top of the wrist. So gently, fingertips towards the floor, gently pulling the hand towards the low arm. And again, more intense with a strong, rigid arm, less intense with a soft bend in the elbow. You decide, but keep it at a place where you feel like you could be here for a long time. Sometimes we go 100% and it's really hard to sustain, and we're trying to, keep it easy. And we'll shake it out on this side. And again, you might test your dexterity, touching the thumb to each of the finger pads. Looking at it sometimes is easier to make those connections, but you can challenge yourself by closing your eyes. Just see how you feel today, and being really neutral in however it is, whether there's a difference on the left and the right, or whether you feel like there's a difference between today and last week or whatever. Just saying, this is how it is today, without ascribing much meaning or beating yourself up if you're not at a place where you think, you quote unquote should be. And then we'll interlock the fingers and just roll the wrists gently. You might feel some pops or clicks. That's pretty normal. As long as there's no pain, that's what we're looking for. Just looking for some gentle movement. Movement is medicine, but we don't want to cause ourselves any harm. Lovely. And then we'll shake it out, and we'll bring a little bit of movement into the shoulders, because I know that this is a place where I store a lot of tension, and you can do this any number of ways. So do what feels good to you. You can do one shoulder at a time. You can do both shoulders together. Don't forget to go in both directions. So you might have a favorite direction, which for me is going up and back. But don't forget to do the opposite. And for me, that's bringing the shoulder blades together, up and forward. Just finding what feels good, opening the chest and opening the top of the back, and you don't have to do it in like a specific yoga pose way, right? If there's like a bigger shoulder opening movement that would feel good in your body, feel empowered to do that. Maybe it's some seated cat-cows, or maybe it's more of a twisting motion like you're swimming. It's really up to you. This is time to ask your body, hey, body, what would feel good today, and to not be attached to the outcome. Sometimes we should ourselves into wanting things to be other than they are, and that's where we come up against a lot of resistance. It's easier to keep a positive mindset when we are neutral on the outcome, and when we say, interesting, or I wonder, versus being judgmental. So if there are any other movements that would feel good, maybe some neck movements, or maybe some hip circles would feel good. Again, ask your body what parts want to move. How do they want to move? Do they want to move in a more fluid, flowing way? Great, give them some flow. Do they want to move in a more stagnant way where you hold for a little while and really relax into that movement, that stretch? That's also great. There's not one right or wrong way to do any of this, as long as we can remember to come back to the present moment when we get distracted. And we all get distracted. That's super normal. It's just what our brains do. They have a lot of thinking going on. So take your time. There's absolutely no rush. But when you feel like, okay, my body's feeling a little more loose, I think I'm ready to focus on the breath, which is also really a powerful tool for, exercise, stretching, relaxation. You can close your eyes if you like, but that's not strictly necessary. You can find a drishti, a point of focus. You can lower your gaze and kind of make your eyes go fuzzy. Figure out what works for you, and maybe try it a couple different ways. There's nothing that says you can't switch halfway through or say, this isn't working for me anymore, let me deviate. You've got all these choices in your pocket that you can pull out at any time when you're like, this is how it is right now, and it is not working for me. So you can, instead of saying, oh, why isn't this working, or I want this to work, or forcing it to work, you can say, you know what? I have a different way of being that might feel better in my body. I have a different way of being that might make my mind a little bit more calm, and be open to the path changing direction. Let's take 3 cleansing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. In your own time. They can be big or little, they can be long or short. Really arriving where we are in our body. Feeling the earth beneath the feet, beneath the hips, wherever your body is touching the chair, the bed, the mat, the floor. And then seeing if you can surrender a little bit more to whatever's beneath you. Trust that you are held by the universe. Trust that you are held by gravity and the earth. And see if you can melt a little more into what's beneath you. And if you have an intention you've been working with, now is the perfect time to repeat it a couple times. Or maybe you have a new intention that's popped into your mind. I'm going to work with, I stay in the present moment. And that doesn't mean I'm going to be successful, but I'm seeing this in present tense as if it has already happened. This is aspirational. At one point, perhaps at some point in my life, I will be able to stay in the present moment. But that doesn't mean I don't want to be working towards that all the while. So send out your intention, whatever it is, to the universe. Let the universe help conspire to make it so. And then come to the breath. And we'll sit for 1 minute just watching how the breath is naturally. You don't have to change it. Just see how it feels. And if you like, you can deepen the breath and bring it further into the belly. Letting the belly rise with every inhale. Taking in what you need. Letting the belly sink with every exhale. Letting go of what you don't. If you found that there's a part of the body that's become tight or constricted, invite it to relax. Maybe the muscles around the eyes. See if you can let the eyes be more heavy. Slacken the jaw. Drop the shoulders. Open the hands. Or any other really mindful, very subtle, perhaps imperceptible movement that would help you surrender a little bit more to this moment and this moment and this moment. I have a poem today called Equanimity by the writer Carolyn Chilton Cassis. It goes like this. I like this world. Not how it sounds, especially. It's impossible to pronounce, for me at least, and my spelling of it never comes out right. The meaning is what grabs me, holds me spellbound. Just the thought that it's possible not to judge experiences as good or bad, joyful or causing pain. Once I searched my brain for days trying to remember this term, wanting to put it to use, but it had been temporarily erased from my mind's hard drive. When it showed its face on a page, I was delighted to encounter the forgotten term. Of course, this occurred after reaching an equanimous state regarding whether I ever found it again. When we talk about equanimity, we're talking about being okay with whatever is occurring, being curious rather than judgmental. And this is the most difficult work. So the first step is knowing, and the second step is practicing. And practicing without chiding ourselves, practicing without being self-judgmental. Join me in some box breathing. And if you're not a fan of the retention, you can simply breathe in and out for an equal number of seconds. But if you want to join me, we're going to go in for 4, holding the breath at the top lightly, gently for a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 4, and then holding the breath at the bottom, keeping it nice and easy as we complete the sides of the box. You might imagine moving around a railroad track or tracing the outline of a square. Maybe you like the counting because it's rhythmic, it's easy, it gives your busy mind something to focus on. Or maybe you'd rather be more intuitive and say that feels like about 4 seconds. And if 4 seconds feels too long, count faster or do 3 per side. There's no judgment and no shame. Inhaling, hold, exhaling, hold. And I'll call you back in a couple minutes. Take your time, there is no rush. We'll do one more circle. Inhaling for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and then holding the breath out for as long as feels good in your body. And then gently letting the breath return to normal. Finding it in the body. Do you feel it most in the nostrils, on the upper lip? Do you feel it in the heart space, in the chest? Is it most prevalent in the belly? Can you feel the breath in other parts of the body? And then can you send the breath to any parts of the body that might need it today because they're not feeling their best or because you feel some tension there? Everything is impermanent, even if it feels like it's been this way for a long time. Same thoughts over and over, the same actions over and over. Everything is able and will change. And the more skillful we are at accepting that, the happier we'll be, actually. Instead of craving things to be different or pushing away things that we don't like, we'll be able to find the beauty in this moment, and this moment, and the next moment, Let's come back to this poem, Equanimity, by Carolyn Chilton Cassis. And you might recognize yourself if you've ever had some word aphasia and you can't think of a word, and sometimes you feel perhaps frustrated by that. And if we can just say, oh well, I know what I meant, even if I don't have the right word for it. Sometimes it comes. Sometimes it comes when we are less stressed or less focused on this seemingly very important task at hand. I like this word. Not how it sounds, especially. It's impossible to pronounce, for me at least, and the spelling of it never comes out right. The meaning is what grabs me, holds me spellbound. Just the thought that it's possible not to judge experiences as good or bad, joyful or causing pain. Once I searched my brain for days trying to remember this term, wanting to put it to use, but it had temporarily erased from my mind's hard drive. When it showed its face on a page, I was delighted to encounter the forgotten term. Of course, this occurred after reaching an equanimous state regarding whether I ever found it again. Come back to your breath. We can do the right thing regardless of the outcome. We know connecting our body and our breath is good for us. We know moving our body is good for us. We know eating healthy food is good for us. And we do these things, hopefully, every day as they become habit. Not because we know there's going to be a direct outcome right away, but because this is the long trajectory to an easier, happier life. Baby steps, one thing at a time. This moment, and this moment, and this moment. Otherwise, it just all comes cascading down and it becomes too much. One little thing at a time. Come back to your intention. If you set one at the beginning of our time together, remind yourself what it is. Bring it from the back burner into top of mind. And then think about moving the body slowly, gently, deliberately. What part of the body would like to move? Maybe the neck, maybe the arms, maybe you give yourself a nice little squeeze. Take your time, there's no rush. When you're ready, if your eyes are closed, you can open your eyes. Thanks for practicing with me today.